Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Carly with WESC. Today's webinar would have been our Business Growth Luncheon in partnership with EDR and NSBA. Today, our topic is Thrive as Purpose Brand, what it means to let purpose drive your business, presented by Janet Lee, President at The Story Co. If you have any questions during the presentation, please write them in the chat box, and I'll let Janet decide if she wants to answer them during or after the presentation. Thank you, Janet, for joining us today. Please start whenever you're ready.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your lunchtime with me. I am thrilled to be here and I really hope to get this chat going. I love questions. So please feel that, that you can ask at any time, and I'll be asking you questions too. So, I was thinking about when Diane asked me to do this presentation, and I think it was maybe back in September, and we picked the title and the topic, and when we followed up with me, they said, is this a presentation you still want to do, given the circumstances that we've all experienced? And I said, oh, yes. I think being a purpose brand is more important now than ever. And I think that knowing, zeroing in on your purpose brand is the most rewarding way to make your business more competitive. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And I always like to start with a few agreements. I would love your full participation because I get lonely here. It's lonely to do webinars, so I can't wait to hear your thoughts. So I hope you'll be engaged and present and open-minded and patient in case tech doesn't always go our way. I hope we'll have fun. And I hope for just a minute right now, you'll just decide what your personal commitment is to yourself and to your team today to take away from what you might be learning. So purpose is a big word. It's fascinated me for a long time, and we're going to talk about why it matters. Purpose, I think, first came into my life through a book called Man's Search for Meaning with Viktor Frankl, which I had to do when I was in university. And so thankful to that prof that I did. And so it's been a continuous journey for me into purpose and what that means, particularly purpose with business. So I'm going to start with a Seth Godin quote, who I love so much. And I'm not sure if you're seeing it on the screen now. I do. So we've had a on, and he says, no, everything is not going to be okay. It never is. It is okay now. Change by definitions changes things. So we have all experienced change in so many ways, and we all have businesses that could be thriving, stumbling. They could be something that you're really worried about. And why purpose is so important is you always will have your purpose, regardless of how you express it, regardless of how you're expressing it through the business you have. Even if your business does not make it through this, you will still always have your purpose, and you'll still always find another way to live your purpose. So I wanted to start out identifying that. And I wanted to ask you, and I'd like you to answer yourself. I'd love for you to put it in the chat box. What is your biggest business challenge right now? And let's just see if anybody can put anything in the chat box. Finance, okay. Leadership. Learning curve, yes. Learning curve for everything, for tech, for everything. Everything's changed so much. Facilities to open up during COVID, so that must be directly related to your business. Hard to market because I can't be face-to-face with potential clients. Yes, it is hard. Updating websites. Oh, what is my unique value to customers and followers? I love that one. And I think we have a few more here. Hard to know how busy employers are and if they are overwhelmed. That's a really good point. The best way sometimes to find that out is to ask them. I've got a few more people typing here. Just figuring out how to get started. Targeted communication, sending the right message to the right stakeholders. Helping potential clients see that I can help them through the pandemic. They want me to call when this is over, but I'm a business consultant and I can help them now. You need to show them how you can help them now. Absolutely. They probably need you more now than ever, but you need to help them to understand that. We're going to get at that. We're going to get at so many of these, I think. So I'll let you keep chomping in if you like. And I have another question for you. What was your biggest challenge, business challenge, pre-COVID? Financing. So same. Fear. Oh yeah, we're talking about fear today. We're going to look right in the eyes of fear. Taking time in the business instead of just in the business. Such an entrepreneurial challenge. Promoting myself as a business owner, doing too much, taking on too many things. Well, we've all been there. Finding new clients, yep. Pivoting to match the needs of our largest clients. So when we address that one, I want to see if that pivot still keeps you in line with your purpose. People pleasing, finding clients. Okay, I love these, all of them. Thank you so much for being part of this. Learning about business elements that aren't necessarily my natural skill set. Very true. So when you look at these questions, pre-COVID and post-COVID, what elements of them are still the same? I want you to keep to the side of your computer, or wherever you've jotted this down. I want you to keep those questions out and think about whether they're the same or whether they're really different. And what I want to talk a little bit now is, I'm just seeing some other great ones. Learning about business elements, finding clients, don't want to burn out again. Hey, COVID really started to slow things down. Okay, interesting. For some, COVID was a pause, and for others, there was no pause. It just simply ramped things. So no matter what side of that you're on, it's something that you're going to want to address. And for some, I think it's been enlightening to see what that means for them. Burnout is real. And I do think when you're attached to your purpose, that burnout can sometimes be less as well. So we're going to hang on to all these. These are beautiful. I am going to talk a little bit about, purpose. Do we think it's always just this out there thing that we're supposed to feel and it's a nice to do and all those things? Well, we know that there is actually a return on investment for purpose. And we know that purpose-driven brands, hands down, are more successful. So let's take a look at some of the stats. 89% of customers believe that purpose-driven businesses deliver higher value. 72% say they would recommend a company with an obvious purpose. 89% who have shared a sense of purpose with their team have higher employee satisfaction. So if that team feels part of achieving that purpose, it motivates. 66% say they will pay more for the products that comes for companies aligned with their purpose. What brands can you think of that you support, that you're paying a higher price for, and yet you're still willing to do it? So definitely some ROI there. So now let's check in with reality and opportunity. So we all inherently know that if purpose is that important, why don't we make it such a top priority? Well, 42% of companies, and this is based on an Edelman survey, 42% of companies believe their businesses reflect their purpose. That means over 60% believe their business does not reflect their purpose. 46% believe they have a shared sense of purpose. Again, we're into the 60% of how many don't believe they have a shared sense of purpose. 41 believe there is a disconnect between senior leaders and employees. And we can see that often, particularly in bigger companies where, maybe you even have your purpose posted all over the walls, but it's not living and breathing in how you live and do business. 53% believe that brands can do more to solve societal ills than government. And this is connected to the second one. 60% of buyers will choose, switch to, work for, or boycott a brand based on societal issues. This was prior to COVID. This was prior to the BLM and ILM movements. I think this will only be stronger now. So what these last 2 points hint at is that we're in a situation of brand democracy, that brands are going to have an impact on our society, and that we will always have the choice of where do we spend our money, and are we giving our customers a good reason to know why. Something else very important, and this kind of gets at the comment about burnout. As purpose declines, personally and professionally, so does health and well-being. And that's particularly important now. You know yourself when you feel really purpose-driven, that you feel better about yourself, that you feel more confident, that you make better decisions. And all of our teams, all of us are all the same in that way. So purpose is big. Understanding and communicating our purpose can make a business not only to the well-being of ourselves and our team, but also to our own business. So even though there's an ROI on purpose that we simply cannot ignore, I think one of the best quotes I ever heard was, if it is only to increase ROI, then I don't think businesses should bother with purpose. But if you're actually looking for the return on love, then you will find a way. And that is really the key step. And that's Calvin McDonald when he was president of Sephora. He is now president of Lululemon. So when we look at these ROIs of purpose, and I want you to put your head in the place now of being a consumer. And I'd love to hear who your favorite purpose-driven brand is. And I'm going to ask you who your favorite purpose-driven brand is before COVID. And then I'm also going to ask you after COVID, and let's see if there's a difference. I love that. I've just changed my thoughts on ideal customer because I found that my work had more impact. I feel so much better knowing I gave more value. Love that. Starbucks before was a favorite brand. And that is a comment from Nancy. We'll see if Starbucks is still her favorite brand after. So what I'm getting at there is, I like how Zoom responded to COVID. Full marks there, absolutely. I'm not particular to any brand. I'm more committed to an ideal. For example, organic. I find so much theatrical branding was a load of grok. They say one thing and actually do something else when push comes to shove. Yeah, that's not a purpose-driven brand. But categories like organic, they are surging, of course. And even in the organic category, we have to find a brand that is truly authentic, since many have used that word organic, not always truthfully. So when you look at, what makes a purpose brand, and I just want to touch back on sort of that mental health aspect, and that it does increase our resilience when we feel purpose driven as well. Okay, nice to see Mary Kay before and after. Able Fashion before and after. That's coming from Chelsea. Hello, Chelsea. During COVID and BLM, it became increasingly evident that I need to push and help educate the importance of sustainability and ethics in the fashion world. So big. It's so big. If that is part of your purpose, See how motivating that is? See how clarifying that is when we're so united to a purpose? I love our company's brand at Bamboo Shoots. Very nice. Very nice. I really like how Labras was so focused on clients and staff. I agree. See, we're noticing these things. They mean something to us. So now I'm going to address an issue that came up in part of this chat, and we're living and breathing it every day. And that is that we are living in an environment with lots of fear. Fear for our families, fear for our businesses, fear for the world, fear for global issues. It goes on, and it's been really hard sometimes to not let that fear run away from us. And so I just don't want to miss any of these comments. Just read one more. Mary Kay, before, because it valued women and balance. After, because it rose to support where needed, transformed production to hand sanitizer and gave it away. I agree. So talking a little bit about fear. And what does it look like when we sell from fear? It happens to all of us. You might wake up in the middle of the night and say, I need more sales. If I don't get more sales, my business is going to go under. And that is simply the secret to my success. That has to be my purpose. My purpose has to be to make more sales. And it may be tied to your purpose. That may very well be true. Financing was another one. But we've also been sold to in a fear aspect. We've been on social media where stores are saying, you know, if you don't buy from me now, I'm going out of business. That's maybe clear, but it doesn't give us a really nice, warm feeling. When somebody sells to us from fear, what does that feel like to you? Often to me, it feels chaotic. They're not really sure what they're selling, but you're just being peppered with messages after message. It doesn't feel clear. It doesn't feel authentic. It feels like it's all about them and not about me. So even when we put out those I'm going to put a little stretch here, but sometimes some of the buy local messaging is guilt ridden, right? And we're not going to want to buy through guilt. So yeah, somebody said, I never get sucked into pressure buying. Awesome. So if you don't get sucked into pressure buying, also don't apply pressure to buying either. Don't use that FOMO fear of on your website. If you don't buy now, only one left, buy now. There's only 2 left, buy now, buy now, buy now. Just keep giving me reasons to really want to help you. When I sell from fear, I talk more. When I sell from passion and purpose, I ask a lot of questions. Oh, that's an absolute beautiful answer. When we sell from fear, we are concerned about ourselves. When we sell from love, we are concerned about the other. And an other-centered business is one that will always be more successful. Another comment, when I sell from fear, I give more excuses for delays. Yes, we're in excuse mode. And that just never feels good. Not for us and not for the other person either. So let's get out of that fear mentality. And it's not easy. We've talked a little bit about the dangers of selling from fear. And I think the key danger of selling from fear is that it drives us away from our purpose. It drives us away from what matters. And we begin to focus on product. We begin to focus on how can I make a transaction? And if we're transaction oriented, it's not a sustainable or enjoyable way to do business. But if we're transformation oriented, then we're back to our purpose. Then we're not selling from fear. Then we're selling from, somebody said, how do I sell to a company that doesn't know they need you? And we all have companies where we can see they need us, but they can't see it yet. You have to drive back to your purpose and say, how do I help them? and then communicate that to their client. I can help you with this and this and this. But if we're selling from fear, I have to get this client because I got to meet my rent, we're not going to have a very clear answer for that. So how do we shift from a fear mentality? If we are already in that zone of fear, and that can certainly happen. Part of it is, as is most things in life, we need to become aware that we're there. So say, hold on, where am I coming from here? What is my primary driver? Am I really approaching this from a place of fear? Am I approaching this from a place of love and how I can help? What are the differences? If it feels icky, it is icky. If you listen to a webinar and they're telling you, you need to get 10,000 more people on your email list, and maybe you do, but if any of that starts to feel icky to you, you're probably not selling from an authentic place that is aligned with your purpose. So watch for that. So why it's so important to be purpose-driven is the second word is driven. And generally, if we know purpose-driven people, they are very clear. They are very clear on where it is that they're going. Even use an example of somebody committing to doing a marathon. They don't commit to do a marathon and not train every day. They figure out their plan and they figure out where they're headed. So one of the keys of why purpose drives success is because purpose drives priorities. It drives us from actions. And again, it takes us that step away from transactional. It takes us that step away from focusing just on the product. We know that when we focus only on our product to sell, we're going to run out of features pretty soon. And everybody can probably somewhere in this world, someone is selling the same product. And you have to show why it's different for you and what it matters for you. And that's where you set yourself apart from the competition. So make sure you're shifting from that fear mentality. Now, the biggest way to shift into that fear mentality is to become more purpose-driven. And in order to do that, our first step before we really declare our purpose is we really need to understand what are our values. So our values lead us to our purpose, and our values are our cornerstones. I'm just reading a comment here and I'll share it with you. It's one of my favorite quotes too. If you don't know where you're going, you'll probably end up somewhere else. And that is exactly true. So if we use our purpose to drive us, we'll hopefully get to the place we want to go. So values and getting back to some of the earlier comments, I've worked with a lot of companies in this last little while, particularly since the pandemic, even more so since the BLM and ILM movement. And what do our values truly mean? And how does our values drive our success? We used to think values was a nice thing to have, kind of a motivating exercise. And it is all of that, but it is also something we have to live by. And so if we find that our values are not aligned, that the people who are working with us, their values are not aligned, that's a deal breaker. So, your brand cannot continue, your business cannot continue to grow if you are not aligned and if your team is not aligned with the values that you set forth. So I put out a blog not too long ago challenging people to look at what are your values, and if we want to support any of these movements, what does it mean? Would we be willing to put anti-racism up as a value of our company? What would that look like? That would mean that if we found that someone had participated in a racist events, well, then they just wouldn't be suitable for our company anymore. Or maybe it's a client. How aligned are we? How willing are we to stand up for what we believe in? And we know how willing we are to spend our dollars with companies that do align with our values. We've also seen brands that maybe we believed in been totally broken because values weren't aligned. So understanding what your personal values are, what your corporate and business values are, is the first step in getting to our purpose. So how to find your values? You know, maybe we think we know them, and maybe we do. But when we are searching for them, here are some of the questions you can ask yourself to really discern what your values mean to you. Ask yourself the question, I'm going to give you just a few minutes to answer each of these. What matters most? What matters most to you? What will we not tolerate? What will our business not tolerate? And if you're a solo entrepreneur, you can answer these on your own. If you are part of a team, you can answer them in a corporate sense. I also want you to answer them as a personal sense, because if your corporate purpose and your personal value, or your corporate values and your personal values are not aligned, it's not going to work too well. So what matters most to your team, and what defines our culture? Feel welcome to share those ideas, but just take a minute or so and see what comes up for you when we look at this. And always, this is a safe place to share your ideas. So I want to make sure you feel that way. I feel that in some ways people have been very concerned about sharing their voice, and we need to share our voice. Authenticity, integrity, honesty, love those. Can you push those harder? Can you push honesty harder? What does honesty look like? And I'm going to give you, if you're struggling a little bit, because words sometimes can be hard when you're on a webinar, I'm just going to give you, I just threw some value words out to give you a little bit of a jump start. Look at this list. Have your thesaurus handy. See if any jump out at you. Check off ones that immediately jump out at you. And then choose 4 or 5. Probably hard to have more than 4 or 5 that you can really live up to. Authenticity, integrity matters most. Honesty, relationships, aggression put downs, collaboration. Collaboration was my word of the year, so I like that one. Supportive. And we've got some typing happening now. I really appreciate the participation. Thank you so much. What matters most? People and the environment before profits. What will we not tolerate? The isms. Purposely putting profits ahead of people and the environment. Our culture is defined by our connection to community, which has unfortunately been hard hit over the past 10 years. Agreed. Relationship focused, integrity, collaboration, growth, respect. I come from a feature film and TV production background, and I'm excited. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you're still here. I'm excited about how my skills as a storyteller can help our clients tell their stories. We have built a team that is passionate and prideful of this same thing, storytelling. We hold each other in our productions to a very high standard. We don't tolerate underachieving this. Beautiful. Integrity, empathy, learning. From the list: genuine, accountable, trustworthy, passionate, excellence. Self-caring, being authentic, knowledge, being brave and vulnerable. Good for you, Jenny. So I get the sense that a lot of people on our call would share a lot of these same values. And yet when we think back that 60% of businesses aren't sharing those values or living those values, that's our challenge, is now that you have these from the list, self-caring, authentic, knowledge, being brave and vulnerable. Oh, sorry, there's 2 more that are typing now. Why is it that we don't feel people are living them? And so what I'd encourage you for a little bit of homework is, when you've committed to those words, start first by sharing them. If you're a solopreneur, share them with your circle of support and say, these are my values. I want to be held accountable to them. If your support is on social network, on social media, get out on social media and say, here are my values. I want your help to help me live them. We all need help to help us live them. And then I want you to put strategies under each of those values to say, at any time of the day, someone can call me and say how you're living to your values, and you can tell them exactly how. This is what these values mean to us. So some more coming back. Self-care, being authentic, knowledge, being brave. I got that one. Excellence, can't tolerate not seeing people. Love that. It is so easy to stray away from our values and our purpose because of fear and to focus on the transactional side. So yay, thank you, Wally. You're seeing that connection that I am making too, that's where our fear comes from, is when we're not really zoned in on our values. I work with businesses to help them develop their culture. Most don't see a connection between their vision, mission, or values, often not shared throughout the organizations. Need to be always in line with their values. And one way, if you're working with businesses like that, and especially tie performance to values, so that when you're meeting with someone, it's got to be part of, so how did you live the value of being genuine, if that's one of the values you've chosen? How has your work expressed the value of being relationship focused? And don't just do this once a year. Do it at regular meetings. Say, okay, we have 5 values that are really important to us. Show me how you're living them. Our core values are passion, pride, and collaboration. Very nice. Very nice. So we have some great examples of brands who live their values, and Patagonia is one that, of course, I love to choose. And you may have already seen this, but this was a few years ago actually, and it was on Black Friday. So the day that particularly, well, it's global now, but it's an American tradition, where sales skyrocket. It is the day that, because of those sales, you start to turn a profit from November 26th on. And it's a buying frenzy. And Patagonia came out in every large American newspaper, which costs an absolute fortune, this full-page ad that said, "Don't buy this jacket." It was their latest jacket. And what they talked about is the conscious art of consumption. They talked about the fact that, you know what, we build a really great product so that you don't have to keep buying jackets. Our jackets should last longer than 10 years. If you bought a jacket in the last 10 years, you probably don't need another one. To me, that was pretty authentic commitment to come right out and say that. So how is it that you can stand out? Do you see how your values are really what is going to drive the difference that you make in this world, that drives the impact that you are going to have? It's your values and how you live them. So find that Patagonia moment for yourself. And certainly there are lots of other companies who are doing great things like that. And I just wanted to share that one example. So I've got another Seth quote for you. Change is not a threat, it's an opportunity. Survival is not the goal, transformative success is. And I felt that was important because back to fear, there's a lot of fear in the marketplace, and part of that fear is driven by change. And it was driven by change before the world was pre-COVID days. Change can often be considered a threat, and yet we need to turn that around. And I'm just laughing at myself because I have who said it on this slide. It's Seth Godin. And I'm sorry I didn't correct that. I know it's Seth. So we're back to looking at transformative success rather than transactional. When are you making a transaction? And I have seen brands change this beautifully during COVID. For example, Paper Umbrella. I order something from Paper Umbrella and I go to pick it up and it's a curbside pickup and she's got a beautifully calligraphy note attached to my bag and thanking me for my business. We've seen takeouts, small takeouts. We'd do our curbside pickup and they would have beautiful notes attached. And so change is also a time for us to do better and to look at this as transformative. That made my day to get such a nice little note on my bag and to thank me for shopping with them. So how can we be transformative instead of transactional? By living to our values. And now for the purpose part. StoryCo, I've developed a purpose framework to really help people move through what in fact is their purpose. We don't want to just talk about it. What are the components? How do we break down purpose into something that we can achieve? And so this is the model. And when we're looking at purpose and impact, we can't deliver on our purpose without having impact. So what are the 4 elements of purpose? And so purpose needs a reason. We need to make a difference. How are we going to make a difference? I believe every person on this earth wants to make a difference. And sometimes we just don't give them the opportunity to. So what do you do that makes a difference that no one else does? Even if you're in the same business, even if you're both selling shoes, what is your reason? How do you make a difference? Purpose needs people. We can never achieve our purpose alone. Isn't that a good thing? We maybe have felt really alone in this last little while, but we can achieve our purpose alone. So who are the people that you want to connect to the most? And I want to give you a minute here to say, what is your reason? How do you make a difference? And then I want you to just think about, you can share if you like, you don't have to, don't want to. Who do you impact? And now I'm going to move to the next one. We've talked about that purpose needs a plan. We need a plan or we're powerless. So purpose without a plan is simply powerless. It's just simply some nice words and maybe a nice story attached to it. I'm a storyteller. I believe stories connect us all. Okay, beautiful. That's your reason. I'm very passionate about the environment and keeping it healthy. Thank you. Thank you, Kathleen. We need people who are going to do that. I reflect that passion to every client and potential client, and how we and what we do with our clients is different from just buying a product. So what I love about that is that you are the difference maker. It was my son and I were having a conversation once, Justin and I, and we were talking about, what do people buy? And he looked at me and he said, Mom, people buy you. And, even though there could be somebody who's presenting the exact same kind of material, we each have a different perspective. We each have a different way of doing it. Help supervisors learn to connect with their staff in ways that make both workers feel more respected and also help employees to be more productive. It's a win-win. And I would challenge even to not make it a win-win, because a win-win means somebody might lose. So if we're not keeping a score, and if we're doing this strictly from love and just loving more and more, we will only be successful. Purpose is to help others discover legal solutions so they can live a full life. Everyone should have access to legal assistance, someone to empower them in their situation. Very nicely said. That is a difference maker. The legal solution, we're not hearing that from your industry. If you're a lawyer or a mediator or whatever it is that you may be, where you develop these legal solutions, that's your difference maker. You tell me that, I immediately have a different perception of what you do. And the fourth one is our purpose must have an impact. And I love using the idea of love rather than win-win. Everyone wins when the passion comes from love rather than profit only. I believe in that so strongly, that if we can turn our attention to, I see it in three ways, so it's a little bit of a dispersion, but I see it in three ways. First of all, we have to love ourselves, and we have to love our product, and we have to love our clients. And when there is that much love, I think success is the only option. So you have to have an impact. So there has to be an impact on your employees, your customers, your business, your bottom line, if you have shareholders, and you're going to have an impact on the world too. Never before has our world's been more connected. So eventually what I hope you'll do is develop your purpose statement, one that you can live by, that's seeped in your values. And I have a couple examples of what that might look like, so you can just kind of get an idea. So I looked at Synovus, do the right thing. I really like that, do the right thing. I think it can mean a lot. ING, empowering people to stay ahead in life and in business. Apple, to make a contribution to the world by making tools for the mind that advance humankind. I thought if I don't put my own purpose in there, I wouldn't really be walking the talk. To elevate others through the power of their corporate and personal story. So when you write your purpose, your corporate purpose, I also encourage you to write your personal purpose. You cannot lead a purpose-driven brand if you yourself don't have a purpose. And that purpose you hang on to forever. You can change and alter it, but it'll always be with you. Whether the business is with you, whether you go to a new business, whether you start a new job, that purpose is always yours, uniquely yours. No one else can own it. No one else can own your story, and that's your differentiator in the marketplace. So, what will your purpose be? What do you think your purpose would be? I'm going to give you a minute there. And I'm also, as you think that through, and I know you're going to need some more time after this to think that through, but I want you to go back to the first exercise we did when we started this webinar. And I want you to look at what is your biggest business challenge right now. And I want you to say, how can I apply my values and purpose to help me with that business challenge? Here's a nice one. I've kind of adopted Simon Sinek's message. He's another one of my favorites. My purpose is to make the workplace one that inspires people to come to work, where they feel happy and safe at work, and where they go home at the end of the day feeling like they made a difference. So you can see if that's what drives you, how my health and well-being is affected, how my productivity is affected, and how the overall success of the business is affected. Making Saskatchewan safer, one company at a time. That's a good idea, Catherine. I'm glad you're out there doing that. Providing tailored solutions to our clients' unique environmental challenges. Very nice. So is that, I'm looking at this one, Kathleen, and is that a purpose or is that how you do it? So we have our how, what, and why questions, and our purpose is our why question. So take another look at that because it's very good and it's going to fit in one of those 3 slots. But get a little bit more at the why. That's going to be environmentally related, but I would think it's something like, I think it's bigger. Providing tailored solutions to our clients' unique environmental challenges is how you deliver your purpose, but I think your purpose is bigger. Anybody else want to try out some of theirs? I see some typing going on. Teaching individuals and especially entrepreneurs to answer the call to leadership. That sounds interesting. And so why are you doing that? So what is it that you fundamentally believe? You must believe that we need more leaders, or we need more purpose-driven leaders, or we need something. So that is a beautiful how. But now to get to that why do you want to teach them that? My personal purpose is to empower people and help them feel a sense of control and well-being. I love people and want them to know they are loved and are of value. That's beautiful. So you can see how that's going to drive it. I love to connect with the person who wrote Teaching Entrepreneurs to the Call of Leadership. Can you connect us? I think so. That will be a Wes question, but I think we can connect you because they will know more about who you are. So now this will appeal to the storyteller in the group, but should appeal to everyone. When you've answered those 4 questions about your purpose and you've answered what in fact your purpose is, that's where your story is. So take each of those sections and find the stories that are yours alone that support your values and your purpose. And that's what you share. Inspiring you to live consciously to help make the world a kinder place to live. Oh, that's a beautiful purpose. Yeah, that's a purpose. Thank you, Chelsea. We've shifted to a transactional focus. We need to change to helping our clients. Transactional focus does not build long-term clients, which is essential to building a strong company. We have a strong purpose that our employees are passionate about. Yes, transactional focus will never grow you for a long time. It might grow you for a short time, but it's not a good time either. And we certainly know the companies that focus on transactional business. Transactional business is also highly, highly competitive because most transactional businesses are driven by price. And as we know, driving your business by price, yeah, there's always a lower price tomorrow. Driving your business by tech, there's always a better tech solution tomorrow. Somebody comes up with it. That can't be your driver. Those transactions, those products, they can't be your driver. It's so much bigger than that. Oh, there we go. Nancy has put her contact information. Yay, a connection made. Okay, so for your homework, I'm a marketer. Marketer always has a call to action. So I guess what I'd like your call to action to be is create that purpose, share that purpose, find people who will hold you accountable to it, and take a minute to address your biggest business challenge and see how grinding into your own purpose will help you to be more successful. And if you ever need help with that, I'm always here. So reach out to me at any time. I'm going to put a contact here on the last screen. Oops, my website isn't on there. I think this isn't my most, that's what it is. We're doing a PDF. It's not my most recent slideshow. So you can reach me at janet@thestoryco.ca. And email me if you would like. I have a downloadable that I'm almost finished working on. I had done a survey and some research on what is a purpose-driven brand, and I think the answers are insightful from the people that I got. It was a very small survey. That's kind of, it's certainly not a poll, or an Angus Reid poll, but I think it's insightful. And this year I'm looking at the second survey, which I'd love to invite your responses in, is how are you living on purpose? And then I'll provide the results on that as well. And hopefully it helps all of us to stay on the track of being purpose driven and having successful businesses. And I would love to open it up if anybody has any questions. We have a few minutes. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you've enjoyed it. And yes, please be encouraged. Please be encouraged. There's so many ways to achieve your purpose. And if you're on a path right now that isn't going to help you achieve your purpose, you'll find another one. There's always a window opening when a door closes if you're feeling that way, or if you're in a position with a job and you're looking at a transition. Always know there are so many ways to achieve your purpose, but your purpose is your unique difference. Oh, I sure can break down the difference between a purpose and a mission. It's one of my favorite things to do. So a purpose is your why. It completely and totally answers why you do what you do. Your mission answers your how. How are you doing? How are you going to achieve your purpose? How questions. Answers how. Your vision is what are you going to do? So business needs to answer those three questions: why, what, and how. Why is the purpose? What is the vision? And how is how you're going to get there? What answers where are we going to? What is your location? What is your big picture vision, and how are you going to get there? Maybe you're going to get there by delivering certain programs. That might be your how. Maybe your how might be building a social platform that causes influence in the fashion industry. So that's how those three questions get answered: our how, what, and our why. And our purpose is our why. And that's the first one we have to tackle. Can you to the slide on reason? Did you mean this one? How would you differentiate between personal purpose statement and company brand statement? Oh, that's such a good question. Thank you for asking that, Corliss. So your personal purpose is yours. And let's say you're working for a business, and let's say you're at a point of interviewing with this business, and you say, what is your corporate purpose? And you want to know if that corporate purpose is aligned with yours. If it is aligned, you're going to have that synergy that is going to bring both of you so much success. If there is disalignment, there won't be success. And I actually worked with a client like that. He had been the CEO of a company for 25 years. It was a big, successful company. We went through a whole exercise of helping him to find his purpose, his personal purpose, and what his personal brand was. And when I did my check-in a week later to see how he was doing, he said, well, I quit. And I was really taken aback. I thought, what do you mean you quit? That's not really what I thought would happen. And he said, no, I looked at my values. I looked at the corporate values. I looked at my purpose. I looked at the corporate purpose. And no wonder I've been hitting my head against a wall for all these years. They're not aligned. And with that, I can't achieve the impact I want to have in the world if they're not aligned. So that really drove home how important it is. What is the vision? Okay, so the vision is the what. What is it that you're going to do to help you achieve your vision? That's your what. Okay, so I'll say it slower. Vision is what are you going to do to help you achieve your purpose? Okay. So I don't see that we have any more questions. Oh, we have one that is still typing now. This has been super enjoyable. Oh, what is my purpose? I had mentioned that my purpose is to elevate others through the power of their own story, and whether that's their personal story or their corporate story. And elevating others has always been the core of my purpose, and I like to do that joyfully. And so I think, thank you for the thank yous. Oh, we have one more typing. I appreciate all of your energy, even though I can't see you, which is like the hardest thing for me. I feel it, and thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing your purpose-driven brands thrive. Reach out to me, and I will be in touch. Thank you, Chelsea, Angela, Kathleen, and Corliss, and all of the others whose names I can't see right now who have attended. I wish you the very, very best. Love to all.
Great. Thanks so much, Janet, for taking the time to share with us today. I want to thank everyone who was able to join us for today's webinar. You will be able to view the webinar on demand on our website by the end of the day. And also everyone who attended will get an emailed copy of the presentation by the end of the day as well. Our next upcoming webinar is on July 8th, and the topic is Be Well to Do Well, Deepening Your Wellness for Work and Life. Registration for that is now open. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Bye-bye.